Welcome to Inner Peace Better Health. I am your host Shreya. Tonight we are joined by Kate Hertzong, intuitive empowerment coach, Reiki master, best-selling author and speaker. Kate's work is all about helping people embrace their inner power, navigate life's challenge with grace, and discover lasting peace within. With her book Humanity's Cry for Change, she offers wisdom for living authentically in this fast shifting times. So, welcome, Kate. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Oh, and I am honored. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited.
Thank you so much for kind words. And, Kate, when you speak of inner peace, what does it truly mean beyond just feeling calm?
Excellent question. What does inner peace really mean? I believe this can mean different things to different people, but for myself, inner peace recognizes or it feels to me like content, that there's no chaos or disruption inside or doubt, that I am feeling more calm and also in a place of fulfillment, relaxation, and joy. Joy can mix in with that inner peace. I think for me, more than anything, just the relaxation and the contentment. And, this shows up for different people in different ways. And I do want to share that no one is ever expected to be at inner peace 100% of the time. This is just not the way it works. We're divine beings, but we have that human side of us. So we do have challenges. We have things coming to us as the topic that we picked is so appropriate today, getting strategies on how to get into that inner peace. So thanks, Shreya.
Thank you so much for joining and sharing so much. And I think true inner peace is not about silence or escape, it's the ability to stay centered even when life feels turbulent.
Yes, absolutely.
Share a personal story where your own inner peace was tasted and how you found your way back.
Yes. Oh, over so many times over my life, there's been challenges, and that's true for everyone. And I certainly have had my share of challenges. Last year, I had a particularly intense challenge around a family member. Um, this person was dealing with some medical issues, and I found myself just resisting. It's like, I don't want this to happen, but recognizing it's out of my control. But what I did for many, many weeks is I was in a place of great distress and worry. And it was difficult for me to function for a while. I mean, I would come up and show up and do my work, but then I'd get back into this constant worry. And fortunately, remembering how important it is for me to take on the tools that I know very well help me and to bring me back to center. So after a few weeks, I'm recognizing, well, I even recognized it sooner, but I didn't really implement the changes until later, taking on some strategies that help me. So, for example, one of the things that has always helped me is to remind myself, I laugh now, but all the worry is just not going to change the situation. Am I resisting this situation with the medical condition that was out of my hands?
Mm.
I was causing my own suffering. I was causing my own suffering by resisting, by worrying. So I started using a lot of phrases that really bring me comfort, such as, all the worry in the world will not change a thing, or saying, I am willing to accept what is, giving it to spirit, universe. You take care of it. Recognizing also what I have control over and what I don't. So I would also say to myself, and this is a big one for me. It has helped me so much, and I really hope it helps your listeners. It is not up to me to know why this person is going through the challenges they're going through. I don't know what they're supposed to learn. What lesson are they to experience, and how are they to learn? So that helps me again to recognize every person is on their own journey and it's not up to me to judge, but it is up to me to take care of myself so that I'm not bogged down with upset and resistance. And also to be there, I can support them and love them and be emotionally available for them. I can't take away the medical condition, but I can show up and be there and support them. So that was one way I helped myself out of that funk.
Thank you for sharing your story with us and with our listeners. And also, let's talk about your book. Your latest book speaks to navigating a world in rapid change. So, what is the biggest challenge people face right now?
I believe if I could make a generalization of what the biggest challenges that people are going through right now, I think is having so easily to go into fear because they don't know what the future holds. There's so much unknown with so much widespread upheaval globally. And there's also a lot of
Yes.
challenges many people are going through in their own life. There are changes that are happening. Actually, there is a higher purpose to all what is happening on the planet, but that doesn't make it easier to deal with. So I think the biggest challenge is it's easy to go into that fear and uncertainty and stress about what's happening externally.
I also think that in certain times, the challenge is not just the pace of change itself, but how we choose to reframe it, either as loss or as possibility. And also, how can we turn uncertainty into opportunity rather than overwhelm?
Oh, I love that. And that is so spot on, Shreya. Truly the best. That is an incredible, we could call it a coping mechanism, an incredible way to cope with what is happening, to recognize, you know, maybe there really is something happening for a higher purpose and that there really are things that I can learn from. I will say, and many others will say, many other leaders and spiritual leaders around the world will agree that everything really happens for a reason, and it can be seen as an opportunity for our personal growth. And on a global level, we could see everything that's happening, whether it's the financial and economic systems that are breaking down, there's more uncertainty about and division between people and the, increased war, escalation, violence. That's very difficult, yes, and it's not in our control on a global level. And yet, if we see that, in fact, all of this is actually happening, it's more of a symptom of the evolutionary leap of what's happening on the planet and humanity. It is more a symptom than it is a problem. It is actually a representation, a symptom of the transformation that humanity is going through right now from the thousands of years of the old paradigm of war and corruption, greed, aggression, men thinking they're better than women, all of this, which so has not provided peace on earth. All the thousands of years is not the way to live. So the systems are starting to crumble. And this is actually a good thing because in order to bring a new paradigm, and some people call it the new earth, some call it the age of Aquarius, scientists and futurists call it the great transition. In order to bring in the new, the old has to break down, just like leaves on a tree in the fall. They fall off so that in the spring there's room for new leaves. Well, this is actually what's happening on humanity. So it it is an incredible way to support yourself if you can be in a place of recognizing that there is actually a higher purpose to all of this disruption and to try your best to go with the flow and not resist the change. And also, if you can, I find for some people, it can really help to recognize, for some people, it helps to reduce stress when we know there is actually a higher purpose of what's really going on. It's just not a random chaos. But if people understand there really is a higher purpose, I hope that it inspires them to recognize, maybe I could reframe and see this in a different way than to be upset. If all that makes sense, I hope.
Yes,
I'm,
definitely. And I
yeah.
think that really reframes the change and not as chaos, but I think as a powerful invitation to grow. And also, you emphasize empowerment. How does empowerment connect with inner peace?
How does empowerment connect with inner peace? Another wonderful question. Empowerment connects with inner peace, from my perspective, and others will agree with me, when we recognize that we're all interconnected. Because quantum science, quantum physics has proven all of life is interconnected. We are all one. So I believe that when I know that when I am in a higher state of consciousness of love and respect, kindness, I am putting out a ripple effect of good energy to the collective consciousness. When I create inner peace, when I, as one person, has inner peace, and I multiply that by 500,000 people who also are working on themselves to have inner peace, that also adds to the collective consciousness. And that adds more and more. And I believe more and more people are awakening. Here's where empowerment comes in. I share with my clients and my audiences, if you can choose to realize that what you do and your state of being within makes a positive effect to others when you're in a place of inner peace, choose to be empowered to know that you, as one person, does make a difference. You can feel empowered to know, as you have that inner calm and peace, as you are working towards that, as you're doing your inner work, as you're healing old trauma, as you're showing up and doing your personal growth, your personal work, you can create more inner peace. So your invitation is to become empowered to know, yes, you can do this for yourself. And as you do, you ripple effect beautiful to the collective consciousness.
Yes, and I think empowerment and inner peace reinforce each other also. And also, what is one simple practice that anyone can do daily to step into both peace and power?
One of the wonderful, I have several exercises in my book, Humanity's Cry for Change. Most of them are actually simple. Here is a simple exercise from my book, Humanity's for Change, that is very easy to do. And yes, consistency helps to cultivate the inner peace. And this exercise goes like this. Imagine being in your heart space. Close your eyes in a quiet space, or have a gentle gaze if you don't want to close your eyes, but closing your eyes is really more effective. And then just really be aware of your heartbeat. Just let your heartbeat beat normally, be aware of it. And then think of someone who makes you really happy, or maybe it's a pet or a certain event that really brings joy and just makes your heart sing. And focus on that person while you're aware of your heart space. Just being in your heart essence, and feel it, and just act as if you're with this person or with your pet or an event that brings you so much joy, and just be with that for a few moments, just feeling it and being in the joy and the love, and then feeling your heart expand even more, and just sit with it and make an intention to hold on to that feeling as long as you can. That should be a really great way to allow yourself to be in that presence and that joy and the love. And what we're doing is expanding the heart love energy.
That's really a very wonderful practice, and that's so encouraging. I think it shows that peace and empowerment are not separate, they are two sides of the same coin.
Yes,
And
indeed.
you are also a Reiki master.
Yeah.
So, how do energy practices support emotional balance and resilience?
Energy practices do support emotional resilience. It's really helpful when we are aware of our energy, whether we're using Reiki or just being in our everyday presence, beingness, just being aware of your energy can really help. I will backtrack and even say awareness is key. So when you are in a place of awareness of how are you feeling? How do you feel with your body? How does your energy level feel? Then you can be more in a place of making a conscious choice to shift if you need to. So, for example, let's say you're feeling very agitated. Your body is just agitated for some reason. You've got frustration, and that's normal. But when you're aware of that frustration and the energy behind the frustration, it's really helpful to ask yourself, what is causing me to be frustrated? And acknowledging it is so helpful. But don't stuff the frustration. Don't say, well, no, I shouldn't be feeling this. It's human nature to have that feeling. Recognize it, acknowledge it, but then if you can, process through the frustration. Say, for example, you're at work, maybe you don't have time to process through the frustration, but then perhaps in the evening at home, you can work through that process. But this helps to modulate and regulate your beingness during the day when you can just be in a place of awareness of your energy, of your emotions. If someone triggers you, again, awareness is key. And then that can help you to untangle and work through and heal situations or upsets or a person that might have upset you that caused that frustration. And then again, you can then better go back into a space of centeredness and inner peace once you acknowledge it, once you work with it, and then help reduce that emotion and upset.
Yes, that's really inspiring to see how even subtle practices can ripple out into profound changes in how we feel and how we respond. And do you think joy and lightheartedness are often overlooked as part of the spiritual journey?
Yes, overlooked. Yes, perhaps it is by some people may not think that they should be joyful or lighthearted. But that is a actually beautiful demonstration that you're more in a place of your spiritual journey. And to allow those emotions is totally, totally acceptable and necessary. It's such a joy to be lighthearted. It's so lighthearted to be joyful. It is. As much as other spiritual practices, joy and lightheartedness is so important, yes. But I will confess, I hadn't seen it that way, but it is so true. And in recent months, I have made the intention to be more lighthearted because I tend to be so serious, and that part of me is natural, but being lighthearted is such a lovely way to be. So I'm trying to bring in more humor and lightness in my heart.
Yes, definitely. And this is a wonderful conversation with you. You're really an amazing person, and thank you for joining and sharing so much your knowledge, your experiences, your stories, all these practices. This just made our show more valuable. And if after this my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
Thank you. The best way to reach me is through my website. Speaking of joy, my website address is joyfulradiance.com. JoyfulRadiance, joyfulradiance.com. And I am offering for your audience, the first 3 people who contact me, I am offering a complimentary discovery coach session. Coaching is such a wonderful way to be able to implement change in your life. And so if you'd like to experience that, feel free to reach out.
Yes, and I will make sure to attach all these details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily. And to all my listeners, it reminds us that inner peace is not something far away. It's a daily practice, a choice, and a way of moving through change with grace. Her wisdom shows us that even when we step into our authentic selves, we are not only transform our own lives but also uplift humanity. So take her invitation to heart. Find one moment today to breathe, to empower yourself, and to let peace ripple outward. Thank you.